All right. What's going on, everyone? Make sure we got audio here. Appears that way. Think we're good. All right. You guys have already jumped in on there, huh? I was actually a minute or two late, wasn't I? Uh-oh. Gonna need a school pass, guys. What's going on there, Renee? Good to see you in there. TR3B's in there. Clerks 93. Yo, what's happening? TR3B, you said, love your work, sir. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that. Photography Like Magic. Hi, Chris. How are you? I'm doing fine. I hope you're doing well as well. Renee says, what up, all? John Beck. Hello, everyone. Great videos, Chris. Thank you, John. Appreciate you being here, man. Mark Matheny. How are you doing, Chris? I'm doing fine, Mark. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for stopping in. Let's see. Jason McVeigh's in there. What's going on, Jason? Anti-Gravity's in there. Hey, yo, what's up? X15, what's going on there, man? Let's go. Susan Ann's in the house. What's going on? Good to see you in there as well. Todd Burdett, hi. Hi, everyone, and happy holidays, says Tickabas, or Bass, Base. Renee van Oosterhout. Hello, Chris and Chad. What's going on, Wolf? Good to see you in there. Robert Wallace. What's going on, man? Kenneth Layer's in the house, too. Michael Bailey. He said, it's that time again. Love your work, Chris. Appreciate you there, Michael. No, Renee, not at this time. You said, Chris, any new ET, alien, or UFO videos? I do have some coming up on the moon. So, yeah, I haven't gotten those out yet, but they're on the back burner. Those are next. At least I've got one really good one. It's pretty cool. So we're going to get that out for you as soon as we can. I actually have another Mars one, and the smallest details. Wait until you see this. I mean, you're going, okay, rocks is one thing. You know, this is totally different stuff here, right? Yeah. Snow Tick Clan, I think it's pronounced, I hope. TCK Clan. We love you, man. I appreciate you. Digger, what's going on? Man, there's a few of yous I haven't seen in a while. Remo Conan, first on. Hey, all, it's me again. Noodles, I have like some different things we're going to talk about, some different topics and stuff from a good old space agency as well, a couple of other things. But as far as, like I said, I do have some moon stuff coming up. Pretty crazy, man. It's just, you just keep asking yourself, why is this stuff even in these photos, right? Susan Ann says, don't forget to hit the like button. Hey, Chris. Yeah, smash it early, man. Bam, hammer time. Mike Hoover, what's going on? He said, what's up, Chris? Love the little alien emojis. Those are pretty cool. Remo, that was pretty good. Oops. Well, not really. Moonder06 Skywatcher. Hello, Chris from France. Hello. Good to have you in there. Glenn Judd. Hi, Chris. What's going on, Glenn? 357 Robbie. Hey, man. What's going on? Will Martino's in there. Awesome. Afternoon, brother, and all. Noodles, he said the junkyard was a fantastic video. Yeah, I mean, the more you look at this stuff, right, you just see more and more stuff that just doesn't look natural, right? Like a lot of people say, well, it's just rocks. Well, I'm okay with the rocks. Well, what you have to look at is either what's under them and what's laying above them. And you guys, a lot of you guys are starting to see this too. I've heard many of you guys saying, why does it look like I can see an object, right? And it looks like the ground or the color of the ground is like spray painted over it, or something to that effect. There you go. More and more you guys are starting to see that, and that's awesome. Fort Garden, you said, hey, Chris and Chad. What's going on, man? John Kniper, what's going on, man? Good to have you in there. Tommy P says, greetings from Hamburg, Germany. Let's have a great time. Oh, yeah. Jason McVeigh. Awesome shirt, Chris. Yep, gotta love the Trooper. Oh, Iron Maiden Trooper album. Good stuff. Renee. Yeah, I like that. Extraterrestrial aliens, ghost and UFOs, Mars and moon. Well, it's actually the moon, but you shortened it. Anomalies and beyond. Ufologists. Chris is in the house, baby. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Pump it up, babies. Oh, that's good. Nick, what's going on, man? Good to see you in there as always. Oh, okay, Renee, I got you. Renee Van, we'll call you for short. Tongue trips over your last name sometimes. Uh, Ken Wells, your question was, why does NASA blur photos? Well, it's simple. They just want to hide whatever's in there. If they blur something, you can't see the fine details, right? So it's kind of like taking your own photo and just taking it out of focus. You know, what happens? You can't see all the little details. You may know the shape of one thing or another, pretty, because if it's something you see all the time, like obviously if you take a picture with a car in a driveway in a house, you know what it is. You don't need it to be crystal clear to know that. But what if it's something alien? We're going to use the term alien, that they're trying to hide. Simply blur it. A lot of these photos, especially going back to the Apollo mission photos, and even before that, you got the LRO photos. Some of them are crystal clear. They look pretty darn good. I mean, you couldn't get any better. Like at 8, being 10 is absolutely excellent. You got like an 8 to a 9. I mean, how can you go wrong with that, right? And then you get ones that are totally horrible, like they're super dark, and on top of that, when you light them, they got blurred out areas. You got to ask that question. It's a great question to ask, but yeah, they do. Um, Amongst many other things, like the digitized out certain areas, blur certain areas, just spot blurring. They'll put their own what look like compression artifacts over a certain area, which doesn't make any sense because you would think if you're looking at a photo and you're looking at compression artifacts, you should be throughout the photo, right? Makes sense. That's not always the case. You look at some of these areas, and I've showed this in one of my videos. It says blatant, basically photo tampering, right? Yeah, they're definitely doing it. Yeah, Remo, you said, Chris, at about 5 minutes where you show the cave with the square inside, you pan up and there's a pointed dome above on the hill. Yeah, I seen that and I just didn't mention it because I went up to it and I just kind of bounced back down because I was trying to get down to the lower things. And yeah, I didn't mention it, but I'm glad you guys did. You guys are like, oh man, there's a thing on the top. It looks like a dome with a point. Yeah, absolutely. Noodles, you said Mr. MBB 333 had a video of UFO craft in the sunny sky recently, maybe a week or so ago. Yeah, he's actually got good stuff too. I like his channel. He's actually got some really good stuff. But I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check that out. Stig, what's going on? He said, hi, Chris. Hope you are well and have a great Christmas and New Year. You do the same, man. I hope you and your family have a good and safe one there, right? Rachel, what's going on? Good to see you. Oh my God, Chris. Nice to see you here. Well, nice to see you here, Rachel. Bobby Pentland, what's going on? Bobby Ray, San Jose, Cali. Hey, Chris, good to see you. Good to see you too, Bobby. And thanks for your comments on there. Oh, well, all to you guys all, because you guys all comment on there, but it's good to see everybody in there. Noodles, you said opening second window to chat junkyard alien face spotted. Yeah, several of you guys have seen that. That's really bizarre. Just some of the things. Now, like I always warn you guys, try not to go way, like to zoom into where you're just seeing like squigglies. You don't want to do that. I try not to do that because I found, yeah, I can find a ton of stuff. I mean, everything from it looks like little twig guys running around to things. You just got to really be careful with that. Try not to go in too much. You want to keep everything like within like borderline where you're breaking into distortion. Like, in other words, you don't want to have it like pixelated and everything. You want everything pretty clear. We can see the whole object, right? So just be careful with that. Rachel says, hi, Chad. Everybody say, hi, Rachel. XDevil 3D, you said, hey, Chris, did you see the photo I sent on Facebook? What looks like Says in. No, I haven't seen that. I have to go back in and check it. Did you just send that today? Bruce Owen, what's going on? Good to see you there, man. Elaine Walls, happy holidays to you and your family. I look forward to your videos. Thank you, Elaine. I hope you and your family have a good and safe holidays as well. Especially if you're traveling, you know. We used to travel a lot, quite a bit, from here to up in Rhode Island and Massachusetts and stuff, and driving, and that's always a lot of fun because from here to around there is about my hometown was like 750 miles, which isn't too bad. Drive straight through, and my daughter living in Florida, it's about 1,000-mile drive, which I've driven straight through several times. But now my body's going, please don't do that again. So now we fly. You go, let's see, 19 hours straight through, hour and 40 minutes. Yeah, I think we'll fly. It's a whole lot quicker and faster, that's for sure. Clerks 93, you said most UFOs always seem to be orb-type craft or whatever they are. Yeah, and they're always changing, like morphing, right? In the skies, you can see them different colors. They're morphing and changing, flipping, and everything else. Kind of like the videos the Pentagon showed recently. You got the Tic Tac UFO. There's other different things. I think there was some on the West Coast as well as the East Coast. Yeah, crazy stuff, man. And more this is coming out. It's getting there, guys. To a certain degree, we're going to start seeing more and more disclosure, and it's going to start snowballing as far as I'm concerned. And I think we're going to start to see this ramp up. You know what I mean? Because once they let the cat out of the bag a little bit, guys, you know as well as I do, that's going to be big time. Thank God for, what do you call it here? Wireless mouse. Got two of them sitting here. I'm looking at Kenneth. Thank you very much, sir, for your support. You said, Chris, I know you said you don't normally look for statues or humanoids, but I for one, am glad you started to show them. They are there, and we need to see it. See it all, please. Please keep up the great work. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And here's the thing, guys. If it does, it's kind of like that weird, what looked like an alien sitting in that little craft, right? I'm looking at that thing, and I'm going, I normally, again, I don't usually see this stuff. And it just struck me that way. Just boom, right on there. I was like, what? Yeah, I mean, and it kind of looked like it was just kind of slumped over, right? And you could see how it was like sitting in this little like seat type thing. It just, I don't know. And now, am I totally off? Could very well be. But a lot of you guys concurred with that, said, like, yeah, that really does look like that. Now, some of you guys said it's something different, and that's fine too. It doesn't mean I have all the correct answers, but when I looked at that, it looked like some kind of little craft or something, and the guy just sitting and kind of slumped over. I mean, that's the only way I could describe it, right? Again, Kenneth, appreciate that. Put this back down where I had it, so this way I can make sure I get all the top. There we go. All right. Jason, you said, yes, the Junkyard video has some awesome stuff in it. Yeah, like I said, even if you don't believe all the stuff that you're seeing, you're just going, okay, if there's only one out of the, how many, guys, be honest, what is it, like a mess of things? I bet you can count 30, 40 pieces in there with no problem. If there's only one that stands out, just one, and you say, well, it has some really good detail to it. Okay, again, what is it? Why is it on Mars? I mean, just standard questions, right? And how the hell did it get there? So on and so forth. Eagle One, you said, evening, Chris. What's going on, Eagle One? And you said, fantastic vid, really big junkyard. And I'm starting to believe more and more of these things. This is the reason why, like I said, a lot of you guys have been saying, hey, man, check out this pan. You've got to look at it. Interesting stuff. This is the reason why I've been doing a lot of pans lately. And I like the pans anyway, because like I said, we could look at one photo, right? Now, the next video I got coming up is just a one photo, and it's from NASA. But when you see the whole grand photo, you can see the small object or this object, and then you can pan out and you can see all where it's at. Whereas the one photo just shows the ground, and you really can't relate it to anything in size. But something that large, you look at this thing and you just go, whoa, okay. So, and it'd still only be a guesstimation, right, as far as size-wise. So you really can't tell. I mean, you can get an idea, but you can't tell. So it does make it difficult. I mean, a lot of you guys will say, man, where's the scaling on it? I wish they had scaling on this stuff, because, I mean, you could break it down if you really want to, but I mean, they used to show a little small scale in the lower right corner, I think, on a lot of these. And depending on the photo, they'd have in an article, and they'd have the scaling, but they don't always do that. Josh D's in the house. Hello, everybody. How are you all? I'm doing fine. Hope you're doing good as well. Michael Rainey, you said you also said, Chris, glad to see you are finally seeing them. Yeah, like I said, I mean, when they pop right out, that's one thing. Now, sometimes it's like sometimes some people will say, "Well, no, no, what about those two people that are next to this rock?" And sometimes I don't always see it. Um, maybe I just don't have the eye you guys do when it comes to like the people kind of thing, right? I've always maybe it's because I've always been into machines, right? Because like I said, I was a tool setter for 13 years. I love to work on cars. My brother was ASE certified when I was younger. I helped work on cars. Then I was working on my own cars for years. Maybe so that's why I got this mechanical thinking mind as opposed to um, people who think more in a general, like just people. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. Nuts and crafts. Watching from work again, so I can't reply. That's fine. That's fine. Good to see you anyway, and you're just kind of chilling. Rachel says, "Hello, ladies and gentlemen." Yes, Noodle. Dave has merit. Yep, you're right. Pork on you said, "Are they sending anything new to Mars?" Yes, they sending the rover. It's going to be 2020, and then it's going to get there by 2021. So the new rover. Check out the actual, instruments on there. They're going to have, the way this thing is designed is freaky as hell, right? And some of the things just don't make any sense, and I don't know why they're doing it. But the cool part is they're putting better cameras on there. And like I already think they already have good cameras anyway, right? And I believe the high def. But they're putting better cameras on there. It's also going to just take in, like I said, the soil samples. It's going to analyze it, and then it's going to put it into little tubes. It's going to store it underneath the belly of it, and then it says what it's going to do is after it does that, it's just going to go ahead and dump them on the ground. So when man does hit the ground running, once they do, men or women, get to Mars, they're going to be able to analyze them. I'm going, okay, so isn't it kind of useless then? What's the point of having this why analyze it on the actual rover if you're just going to take them, analyze it, which you're going to get the information then, and then just discard it? Because here's the thing: you got a spectrum analyzer. It's going to analyze the gases. It'll shoot lasers into it, heat it up, will do whatever it's got to do, sniff the gases off this heated substance, and it's going to tell pretty much what it's made out of. Okay. Why do you need to do that? What I found kind of silly is that if you got all this radiation hitting Mars, isn't it kind of mess with the actual samplings that you've taken out of the ground and then put in these small tubes and then dumped them on the surface? Doesn't make much sense to me. But it's going to also have the helicopter on there, which I think it said it could fly for about 17 minutes. It's 11 to 17 minutes. And I find that pretty wild because they said it's going to help the actual rover navigate. And I'm going, okay, so how is the 2012 Curiosity rover actually roving? How does that make sense? It doesn't make any sense. It has no problem navigating. It does it all on its own. It can drive autonomously, so on and so forth. If it doesn't get any commands from us here on Earth, why? The only thing I can think of is that it can fly up and over what it needs to see, or go up and fly into places where that rover can't go. So I find that pretty interesting, and it's actually pretty high tech, guys. If you read on that thing, it's pretty wild. Tommy P said, I read a theory that says most of the aliens we encounter are actually technology and not biological beings. Like avatars for the real beings, they are somewhere else. What's your opinion on that? That's a good possibility. I mean, again, only speculation, but that's a good possibility. I mean, it's kind of like we're doing, right? We're sending machines to another planet as opposed to actual people. So it's doing all the work it can, giving us ideas what's going on, so on and so forth, so that we know and we're prepared for what we're going to find when we get there, as far as like living conditions, whatever. And like I said, to be honest with you guys, they knew about this stuff a long time ago. Come on. Again, they're going to send key components to these rovers, like the landers, the rovers. They're going to send all key tools that they need to understand air temperature, wind, barometric pressure, and, well, depending on how they measure it, because there's different ways of measuring it, in bars and stuff like that. But, they're going to do that. They're going to test all of this long before they send man. So, and they've already done all that. So, yeah. Our next thing is to send actually walking robots. And, of course, they'll do that too. But I don't see how they're any better than a rover. What's it going to do? Bend down, pick up some soil, and look at it and do the same thing the rover's doing? So I think the next best thing is they may have something that can fly virtual reality, kind of like maybe the copter can do, or they're going to send something. If that works out well, they're going to send something, probably a virtual reality, but it's going to be so delayed that you can imagine the thing would have to have a lot more battery time because it goes up, and you're talking about between 5 and 20 minutes or 25 minutes of relay time. But that may not always be true too. And like I said, I've been telling you guys, I got this thing that I've been working on, or at least looking into. So basically, I'm going to use the term, we're going to crap or get off the pot. In other words, if it doesn't work out this week, I'm going to definitely fill you guys in what we're talking about, because it's pretty interesting. And like I said, it confirms what I've been saying on a couple things. You guys are going to be like, oh, so yeah, you weren't lying all this time. No. Just some crazy things in here, guys. And when I was reading this, I said, I'll be damned. There we go. Proves what I've been saying all along. This thing just jumped up on me here. Hold on. Oh, yeah, I guess this thing did jump up on me. I'm trying to find out where I stopped from here. Mimi Reacts is in there. He said, hello, greetings from Germany. What's going on? Oh, okay. So Arts and Crafts, they have a 22nd birthday. Well, happy birthday to you. Hope you're having a great day. Okay, oh, okay. XDEF filed, I guess it's supposed to be. I sent it a day ago, I think. All right, I'll check into that, definitely. TR3B, you said they have already arrived and beneath the Arctic ice, Chris. I think you're not only right about that, but I think they have, if there is alien beings, think about it. We're always looking out, looking out, looking out. How do we know they don't live in the deepest oceans? Go to the Marianas Trench. That's the deepest part of any ocean, at least that they know of, on Earth. Okay, so you've been down there and people go, well, there's no way you could survive down there. Yet there's living critters like swimming around down there. So, and if they have some kind of field that protects a craft, then they can just be under there at all times. I mean, how do we know there isn't some kind of, you go down and then you come up and there's like this huge cavern under there and there's a city under? How do we know? I mean, it's all pure speculation. That's all we can do on here, right? Because it's just like the mind wanders thinking that maybe that's a good possibility. I mean, how do we know for sure? They could be protected. We can't even know that. We don't even know that they're there until people see them come out of the ocean. I don't know. TR3B, yeah. He said, I need company like you on long drives. I love your thoughts. You entertain me for days beyond end. Well, I mean, here's the thing. Can you imagine everybody sitting in a table in a friggin' restaurant just having this conversation? I can imagine how that would go. That'd be like from early morning to midnight and then on and on. So, I mean, yeah. Mr. Gossamer, you put on there, hey, nice vid today, Chris. Well, I appreciate that. I'm going to just say the short Snow Clan you put on there. I saw a UFO change size and color, scared me so bad. I was on a rooftop in New York City. Well, yeah, I mean, if it's something out of the norm you don't typically see, then you see this thing. You just kind of like, first of all, what is that? And, is it coming towards me or whatever? But it's kind of like you're kind of nervous, but you want to like really sit there and just stare at it, right? Because it's not something you see every day. So I can understand that. You said noodles go to 11 minutes and 55 on the Martian junkyard. A alien brown egg shapely head form is just left of Chris's head. Huh. Yeah, a lot of you guys have been sending some interesting comments saying, "Hey, did you see this? Did you see that?" Now, some of the things, like I said, I can't cover it all because you guys have seen them pan. When you guys go, "Oh my God, this thing's like a treasure trove." I can sit there for hours looking at this thing. Okay, there you go. Can you imagine how long that video would be, right? So, yeah. It's interesting that a lot of you guys are finding a lot of stuff, and that's awesome. Kudos to you guys for doing so. Rachel, you said, Chris, that's what it looked like to me too. Absolutely. MC Gamer, what's going on, man? Good to see you in there. Hey, Chris. Hey, community, he says. I did see that TR3B. You said, did you see my comment about it looking like a meerkat? It did because the way their heads are, right? They have that kind of weird narrow face. Yeah, it did actually look like that. I was just like, yeah, that was kind of weird. Because I don't know what a meerkat would be doing in a craft. Only because now if it's a hole, you'd say absolutely because it's round, right? And you'd say, well, that might be very well be a meerkat. But being that it was square and had that weird shape to it, I'm saying, well, maybe not so much, but still interesting view on that. I'm like, yeah, I mean, hey, anything's possible. There is no right or wrong answer. Unless, of course, you say it's a baseball bat, then you go, okay, well, that's a little off. But I mean, you know what I'm saying. I just find it interesting because, you guys have your own mind. You see something differently, and ain't nothing wrong with that. Eric Blaze said, "Can't believe a credible whistleblower hasn't spilled the beans." Well, actually, there's been plenty. If you look at Ken Johnston Sr., he's been talking about this for quite some time. He has all of the moon photos. If you're not familiar with him, look him up. He's the one who was working at NASA when they had 5 sets of these Apollo photos, and they told him, "Listen, you need to throw them away. Just throw them in the dumpster, get rid of them." And he said, "Well, you know." Is it possible we can keep at least like a couple, and maybe give them to universities? They said, listen, we don't care what you do with them, just get rid of them. So he thought, oh, okay, a loophole. So he got rid of 3, kept 2, gave one to a university. Of course, not long after that, it disappeared, but he kept 1 copy. And they're like a second generation photo where they're manipulated, but not nearly as much as they are now. I could find 2 photos of now, meaning NASA, same NASA photo that he's got, and it isn't nearly whited out or blurred out or anything. And it's the same exact, photo number or ID number, right? And yet he's just one of many. You got the Canadian Prime Minister. He was on there talking about aircraft. He was, I think, he was in the Air Force at one time in Canada. So many things going on. Just look for whistleblowers, and you'll find there's a lot of people doing it. Of course, there's some that don't want to do it because they're afraid of for their family or themselves. Just look up a lot of that stuff. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's like, damn. So there's a bunch of them out there. You just have to find them. Noodles, you said, I'm tested to 93% mechanical reasoning. Yeah, it's pretty high. Oh, MC Gamer's got a birthday today, too. All right. He said, Rachel said 2 birthdays in the chat now. It's Austin Kraft's birthday, too. Man, a whole lot of birthdays going on. I got to wait until the middle of the year for mine, guys. Sorry. Can't brag. Stig, he said, if these items rather are smashed up machinery, which I think they are, why are the marks of the missed shots? Oh, where are the marks of the missed shots? Or are we looking at very advanced weapons as well? To be truthful, it's hard to tell what the stuff is, right? You can look at it and all you're seeing like maybe bits and pieces of said items. So it's kind of like you just go, okay, this is out of place, which that's what an anomaly is. It stands out from its rest of its surroundings. So all we could say is, okay, I found this part. What does it look like to you guys? This is what it looks like to me. That's all we can do, really, because there's no way of really knowing what these things are. But I believe it's mechanical, a lot of that stuff. I believe, we're seeing the water in there, which I showed you in there. It looks like it's recent flowing of water. Come on. There's a whole lot more water than they're talking about. And just recently, I don't know if you guys have seen this from said CNN in Space and Science section on there. It says water found an inch. Now get this, an inch beneath the Martian surface could help future astronauts. So, and they've been saying this for quite a while that there is, X amount of, water per square inch or square foot. And so, of course, they're talking about making, fuel with it, so on and so forth. Pretty interesting stuff. And like I said, you're starting to hear water, water, water. I mean, it's just coming out. I'll actually drop this link to you if you guys want to check it out. It's pretty cool. And a couple others I'll be talking about. We'll just drop this down here. There you go. We go way down here in the bottom anyway. If I didn't catch any of you guys' questions, just rewrite it because I'm going to jump down the bottom so we can get more current here. Yes, Noodles, water under the dust, and you can see some of these pictures where the rover actually like drives along. You can see it's like a clay or like really really moist. No doubt in my mind. $420 alien, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Hey Chris, hey everyone. MD Masick, you said there's a website dedicated to whistleblower. Yeah, like I said, there's a bunch of them out there. Michael Eldridge, as I get older, I try to forget my birthday. It's kind of like, oh no, not another one. To me, it's just another day, but it is, hey, it's a turning point, right? It's another day above dirt. That's a good thing. Because I'll be truthful with you guys. I remember being in high school. I remember this, and I'm sure you guys have probably had the same thing happen, where you're young, you're like, oh man, this is great. I'll live forever. Of course, you got that ignorant attitude, but but then there was one kid that I knew very well. Actually, two of them. When I was very young, I was like in the sixth grade. I had a good friend of mine pass on. He was hit by a car while he was on his bike, and then there was a kid in high school. He just died on the field. He was playing soccer. He's a great soccer player. Boom. So, yeah, people are thinking, oh, man, you get old, you're going to die soon. It's like, no, it has nothing to do with that, man. It seems like there's a lot of people I know that some of the people in their 30s, 50s, it's like, wow, crazy. Nicholas Papas, you said, senior, you said, like the Iron Maiden shirt, brother. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, gotta love the group, man. In fact, I just love it. Oh, 20 minutes ago. Yeah, I was just listening to some of it earlier. 22 Acacia Avenue. There's a whole bunch of them up there. Really good stuff. Arts DBD England. You said the proof is incredible. When do you think the news will be told by mainstream? Well, if you notice, there's a few of them coming out, mostly UFO stuff, but you see like a lot of these, especially like on other shows, like you got Russia Today or RT, and of course they have it in English, they have it in Russian, and I think they have it in a couple other languages, but and they actually were talking about, like I said, that prime minister from Canada, where he was in the Air Force or Royal Force. I forget which one it is. They call it up there, but I think it's a Canadian Royal Force. But he was actually talking right on that show and talking about how there's been many alien species that came here. I mean, the whole nine. I mean, it's really awesome. And more and more, this is starting to. I think it'll snowball once it gets out more and more. Right. I think we'll start hearing more and more of that. James Cregan, what's going on there? Said, hi, Chris. Great videos again this week. You are blowing up the denying world to bits, man. Just checking in with you. I don't know why this thing is like it says it's hell for review. It's like, what's the point? Arts and Grass. Well, hurry back. You said, lovely talking to you guys. I have to go front of house now where the customers are, so I have to be away for a while, but I'll rewatch this when I get home. All right. Well, good to see you in there anyway. Renee, you said, seen Black Sabbath with Iron Maiden, Ozfest 2004. I seen him as well. Yeah, back then it was actually this goes back to the 80s. Great, bunch of groups, Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden, you name it. There was just a lot of, good groups back in the day. Good stuff. Noodles, you said lead singer Bruce Dickinson is a airline pilot. He is, absolutely, yes. I wonder if he's seen UFOs. Ronnie Dio saw a craft door. Huh. I didn't hear about that one there, and I don't know if Bruce has ever seen that. Pretty interesting. Be interesting to actually hear him say that, because here's the thing, guys. These guys will spot the stuff from like a mile away, miles and miles away. There's nothing obstructing their view, right? They're just flying right along, and it's not like you got a bunch of cars on the road and you'll see something weird because there's so much around you. But when you're in the sky, that's interesting. Moon Man, he said, "Hi, Chris. Hi, all. Kind regards from Turkey." Well, good to see you there, Moon Man. Mike, you said, "I'm going to have a kid just so I can teach him the truth and have him get a job at NASA. Blow the silent whistle. We will get it. We will get it done one way or another. They're going down." There you go. I don't know if that's a major reason why you should have a child, but yeah, you can do that. Sneak them in there. By the way, get in there. 357 Robbie, you said the old standard answer that it's too far between stars for beings to travel is BS. Every great leap forward we have ever made was impossible until we did it. Well, absolutely. And you know what, guys? The technology is there. And here's another thing, too. I don't know if you guys read this article. Recently retired U.S. Air Force general makes eyebrow-raising claims about advanced space technology. What is it? Retired Lieutenant General Stephen Quast, Kwast, says fantastic technology exists that could transport a human anywhere on Earth within an hour. So if you can imagine they can do that, you know that they can do it out in space. Come on, there's no friction, right? So you can travel much faster. But he goes on to say that China is building like machines, like almost what he calls like equivalent to warships, like you'd see in the oceans, but like they're starships. But they're building this, and we're not. So this is the reason why they're saying, they need to do the same thing. See if I can find that. Has been common as of late, Lieutenant General Quast cites rapidly growing Chinese military and technology advances as the reason why the United States must invest heavily in new space-based technologies. We can say today we are dominant in space, but the trend lines are what you have to look at, and they will pass us in the next few years if we do not do something. It says Quast claims China is already building a navy in space, complete with a space-based equivalent of battleships and destroyers, which are able to maneuver and kill and communicate with dominance. And we, the United States, are not. Quast's speech centers on the thesis that the United States needs a space force in order to counter Chinese advances and win the competition over the economy of the future, and, as an extension, who sets the values of the future. I'll give you this, guys. This page is pretty interesting. I'll give you this as well. It's from the Drive. I don't know if I can get that whole address now. Hopefully I can. That would be sweet. Oh, man. Let me see if I can do this. Let me just get it. I'm going to give you this address here, guys. If it doesn't go through, you just have to put in there HTTPS in the very, very beginning. Let me see here. Just make sure, just to be absolute sure. Yeah, just type in at the very beginning of the address HTTPS, and it'll go right through. But it's like literally missed by 3 freaking letters here. It's only supposed to be 2. You can 200 rather. You can put in there as 203. But you guys get the idea. But that is an interesting article there. It says the war zone. And let me see if I can find this other part he was talking about here. As we've reported previously, there has been hints of radical new technology under development by the military. And just as in Quast speech, Chinese advances have been cited as the reason why these technologies are needed. China has been rapidly expanding its presence in space in recent years, placing a lander on the far side of the moon in late 2018 and what some say was a push to scout natural resources, rather, with which to develop a permanent lunar manufacturing center. China has also been developing mothership aircraft from which it to rapidly and unpredictably launch space planes and other payloads into space. The country has also launched several eyebrow-raising satellites in recent years, with some analysis claim could be used as anti-satellite warfare. Beyond all this, they have been investing heavily in traditional space program that includes many facets of manned and unmanned space technologies that rivals and in some ways exceeds our own. So yeah, like I said, have a look at that page. It's pretty interesting. James Cragen, you said, Chris, the video today, the junkyard on Mars. Well, that's what it looks like to me. There is plenty to see in that video, defo, and as you said, you could be looking at it all day. Spot on. Yeah, I mean, everybody's, you guys have been looking at this thing. So, man, I've been looking at this thing for hours. There's so much stuff in there. And that's all you got to do is grab your magnifiers, guys. Have a look at it. Just like I said, if you zoom in too far, it'll literally break up and you'll see all kinds of squigglies and you'll be thinking it's like, a bunch of centipedes as opposed to a photo, right? So, yeah. Space Continuum. Woohoo! Hey, from London. What's going on there, Space Continuum? Yes, Andrew. Yeah, Andrew Haberman. You said, Chris, you were referring to the former Canadian defense minister. Said, I'm sorry, not the prime minister. Yeah, my bad on that. His name is Paul. Yep, Hellyer. He says that there are current civilizations not only on Mars but Venus and Titan. And you know what? I don't know why. If you think about it, why would this guy actually lie about something like that? What has he got to gain by it, other than actually being ridiculed and everything else? What has he got to gain by doing that? So yeah. Sarah, good to see you there. You said read Money Mafia. It's all there. It's all in there. And his latest, I had him inscribe my copy. Oh, okay. Is that one of the things, the articles you sent me earlier? I told you I'd probably look at them later this evening. Man, this thing literally jumped up. I didn't even see your other comments in there, Sarah. Jason McVeigh, you said Motorhead. Oh, yeah. Let me watch it. What's going on? Abs 0303's in there, too. Everybody just snuck right in there on me. Marco, you said, I like your Occupier Mars hat. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. Actually has SpaceX on the back here. Pretty sweet. Renee says 124 watching, 48 thumbs up. Come on, more thumbs up. Yeah, slam it, guys. Whoosh. Make your presence known. Andy Cox says, greetings from Copthorne, UK. Question, please, Chris. In your opinion, are you 100% sure that NASA applying orange filter to their photos and Mars is not the red planet we are led to believe? In your opinion. Yeah, absolutely, Andy. Yeah, because like I said, if you look at the Molly cam actually has a door that opens up. And just look it up, Molly cam on, you can just Google it. And it'll show you up close. It's actually got a little door that opens up like this here and goes back down. And it actually has an orange or reddish like filter on it. So they can just close this thing at any time. Think about it. And I've said this before. If you can take a photo, make it all one color, it helps hide your manipulations by putting blur or whatever you need to put on there. And it doesn't have to be the clearest photo, right? It can be something low res. It doesn't have to be high res. So low res photo, color filter. It hides all of the little details that might be different colors to begin with. So you're not seeing any individual objects, or at least not in the right color, right? And then we can blur out certain spots and it makes it harder for you to see that stuff. That's what it's all about. Absolutely, they do have it. Just look it up. In fact, I think the InSight lander as well has that now, or had that when it landed. This is the reason why, and like I said, we talked about this the last Hangout. I think we talked about this, where they were all in the control room, and the InSight lander landed on Mars. And the first photo is literally blue sky. And you can just listen to the video carefully. You can actually hear them in there. Oh my God, the sky's blue. You can literally hear people talking. The sky's blue. Look at that. And then I don't think it was 15 seconds later, they showed another photo. It was all orange again. Come on. How do you go from blue sky to instantly like a reddish orange unless you close that door? Simple as that, right? There you go. And I'm not, not affiliated, I promise. I'd like to treat myself there, just get on a Saturday after work. Yep. Yep, Sarah also says that. I just want to make sure I read these real quick, and I'm going to give her a shout out. Let me watch Andy Cox, interesting con. Must have missed that one. Must have jumped right up on me. Here we go. Let me see. Man, I hate it when that happens. Literally, you go like this. You go, let me just check this on the bottom. And then the whole darn thing just jumps right up. James Cragen, you said, Chris watched a video on YouTube yesterday about NASA admitting that they have tracked something coming out of the black hole that they say is supposed to be the largest black hole in the universe. Yeah, I find it interesting how something can come out of a black hole as opposed to being sucked in, because it usually will destroy a planet. And I remember reading an article not too long ago, and I'm sure you guys have read some of these yourself, where they actually saw a planet literally ripped to pieces by just one of these black holes. And you can literally see it like they showed parts of it like being ripped apart. That is amazing. See this huge black hole, and you see this like this big bright light, like it's just literally just tearing to shreds. That would be bad. That could mess up somebody's day in a hurry, couldn't it? Space Continuum. Maiden. Oh, yeah. All right, let me just get right to the bottom of this. Okay, here we go. Divine Caitlin, good to see you in there. You said, hello, Chris. Hello. Hope you're having a good evening. Or wherever you are. Not sure where you're at. Nacho, good to see you in there. You said, do you think black holes could be energy harvesting devices? I don't know. I mean, is it possible that some of these aliens could be jumping through these things? I mean, if they're not being affected by the energy that's in these holes, maybe because, again, having some kind of field around themselves, is it possible they could just travel right in and out of those things? And it'd be like, let's say you got like several black holes, right? And of course, they're probably billions of miles apart, but let's say they can get to one of those and just jump right through somewhere, and they know exactly where it goes. It's kind of like you're on the highway and you go, okay, here's exit 39 or 48 or whatever it is. And you go, I'm just going to get off there because I know where it leads to. Is it possible it's something like that? Could very well be. Just because they say, well, it's, when you think black hole, you think destruction. You think, nothing but just, you know what I mean? Just bad. I mean, just simple as that. And that's what I think. How do we know they don't travel through it? Phil Cox with daughters Jessica and Kelsey. I don't know when you creeped in there, but hello. I hope you're having a great evening, man. Mimi Reacts, you said, could it be possible that NASA lies about Venus too? Why not? Why stop at the moon? Why stop at Mars? Why, yeah. Yeah. If they're not just going to say, well, we're going to tell the total truth about this and then go ahead and just lie about, yeah. You get better if I don't know if I want to use the term lie, because if you think about it, they're just covering it up. So it's a cover up. It's not really a lie, because they're saying, well, we're not saying that it's not there. We're just covering it up. Well, we just happen to be finding it. And so are they lying per se, or are they just withholding? So, because they could just say, we never lied. We never thought you guys could see that stuff, though. We didn't think you guys were going to analyze it. So, yeah, we're not lying. We're just not being forthcoming with the evidence or what we're finding. Guys ever have their sweet tea? Good stuff. They do was it? Yeah, Andrew. Black holes bend space and time dramatically. Yeah. What were they talking about? How by space travel you can literally bend time. Well, that's why I'm saying that's a good possibility. I can bet these people are absolutely doing that. These aliens and these beings, they could very well be using them as just like highways, super highways to the universe. How do we know? He said, Peters Marcus. He said, Chris, why is UFO sightings more prominent in South America? I don't know. That's a great question. Depending on where it is in South America, how do we know it's not like mostly closer to the oceans, right? I haven't really read up on it, so I don't know exactly where they're at, but I have heard about that. I don't know if it's closer to off the coast, and if it is, look at all the oceans around it. I mean, could very well be. These could be underwater crafts. What do they call them? Underwater crafts or something like that, UABs or something like that, or something. I forget what it is they call them. I still call them UFOs that can go underwater. Cinder Tang, yeah, you said absolutely. He said, "What is a theory to us can be reality for them." Absolutely. Daryl, yes. He said, "Black holes, the gateway to the multiverse." That or just traveling through space. Like I said, it made me laugh because when they were saying, well, what we're going to try to do is we're going to try to find the edge of the universe. Do you think you're going to hit a wall there or fall off a cliff? I'm confused. And like I said, I told you guys just like if you could close your minds, like you're just laying there and all of a sudden you're going, okay, our brains know limitations, right? We know there's a limitation. Like if I got up and walked straight, I'd walk into something, right? Even if you're outside, at some point you're going to run into something, right? What is really, if you can picture yourself like, you're some kind of superhero and you can fly through space. Think about this a minute. There is no stopping. There is no limitations. And it boggles the mind because you can't fathom that. It just goes and goes and goes. And they're saying, well, we're going to try to find the edge of it. You may find an edge where, when I think what they mean by edge is where at some point there are no more planets, like because it's actually expanding, right? It's ever expanding. So at some point you're going to find an area where there's no planets, but can you keep up to the expansion? That's the whole key, right? That's a very good possibility, Rachel. You said, why would NASA feel they need to hide the evidence on Mars? Is it to hide the human past or past colonizations that we made before uh, making our second home? Could very well be. Like I said, some scientists have claimed that, like we talked about before, that we are the Martians and that we probably came from there because our bodies are more geared to the timing of that planet. And if you think about it, if it has a little bit less um, gravity, has a little bit of less of this or this or that, we would actually, our bodies would literally adapt better on Mars than it would be here. Now, I don't know about now, but back then they claim it was a lot like Earth, but there were some differences. So I truly believe like either the theory of panspermia or the fact that that was our original home. And this is the reason why maybe we feel that connection. Who knows? A lot of people told me that. They're like, I don't know why. I just feel this connection with Mars. And I do too. Now, is it just because we're just happen to be, engrossed in all of this and looking at these photos and everything else? Good possibility. But it's just something in me that just says, man, there's much more to this planet than just a dead ball out in space. I don't believe that's the case at all. And I think a lot of people feel the same way. James Gregan, you put on there, Chris, man, you are spot on. Paul Hellier has been telling what he knows about the UFO phenomenon for years. and he has spoken at a lot of the UFO presentations and meetings, etc., and with honesty as well, man. Yeah, I mean, he doesn't look like a guy that's going to sit there and lie. Look at the guy. I mean, you can just tell, these guys are privy to all of this information when you're in the service. Now that he's out, maybe he just feels like, maybe they'll come kill me, but, I'm still going to let it out. But he was very candid about it. Just had no problem when he's on that RT show, Russia Today. He had no problem with it, you know? 00, the masked master, 00, a void. Well, that's basically what a black hole is supposed to be, but yet it's got dark energy or whatever, it just rips these planets apart. And but like I said, I think we don't understand a lot in the universe. We just really don't know. We have theories, and based on what we can see from spectral analyzing and whatever else, tools that they're using. It's kind of like what was that? That Parker probe they just sent to the moon. If you think about it, they're saying the plasma coming off the moon. I mean, I'm sorry, the moon. We're thinking of the moon because I'm looking at this picture. At the sun, it's hotter than the actual sun itself. How is this possible? You would think it'd be super hot there and just, really hot here coming off the sun. But no, they're literally saying it's actually cooler on the sun itself as opposed to the plasma coming off of it. So they're saying it's much hotter, coming off the sun. So they're finding out things they didn't know, and they're just totally blown away. Jim Donahue said, "Hey, Chris, how's it going? Going good there, Jim. I hope you're doing well." Yes, Sarah, you said we are them and they are us, and we all are. Which I'm going to give a shout out to Sarah. I told her, so I'm going to give her a big thank you for this. We've been talking back and forth for a while. Now, a lot of you guys, you support the channel, and it's awesome that you guys do this. Both, just moral support or just supporting the channel. And then, of course, you guys will throw some money this way, which, is greatly appreciated. You guys know that. So it's monetary support, so kind of support. Well, Sarah and I were talking a while back, and she asked me what kind of computer I was using. I told her, I said, well, I've got 2 HPs. I've got one Z210, and the other one's a Z800, which anybody knows anything about computers, I'm trying to remember if this one here was, well, it don't matter. The Z800 itself is basically a server, and this one here is equipped with 12 core, 48 gigs of RAM. Really good computer, probably lacking a little on the GPU, which is your video card. I think it's 1 or 2 gigs of DDR5. I bought that a while back, and it does a great job, the machine. But she was asking me about that, and she says, well, let me buy you one. I'm thinking, what? Now, I'm going to be honest, and I told her this. I said, listen, I don't know where you're literally coming from. I didn't know whether she was the real deal or whatever else and stuff like that. And, and I was being honest with her. I said, listen, it's not every day somebody offers me a computer. So, anyway, so I said, but then a while after that, I said, well, you kind of inspired me to look at a computer because I want to make better videos, better quality and stuff like that. And she said, listen, hold off. If you find something, let me know. Well, big thank you to her. She did actually buy this for me. It's a brand new gaming computer. So I do not have that online right now because I actually have this machine that we're on right now. That one there actually has still about 3 other pitches I'm going to be doing that I need to get off the computer first, and I'm going to swap these out. This is a phenomenal computer. It's got it's high definition, HD monitor, the whole 9 yards. But if you can exceed that and do better videos, that's what it's all about. She said, I want to help you with your channel. So a big thank you to you, Sarah. Much love to you. You guys are great. Like I said, I mean, everything from, like I said, everybody who contributes and supports the channel. Love you guys all. And I can't say it enough. And thank you again for the, your support again. You just gave $20 more, if that wasn't enough, right? But yeah, she literally, it's kind of funny because we talk on the some of these sites, on these social sites, and it was funny because, she kind of got mad at me, and I don't blame her in a sense because she is a genuine person. And she's like, no, I'm, why would you think I'm not genuine? I'm thinking, well, and I'm being truthful. I said, listen, I have never had anybody give me anything of this magnitude. And to her, it's not a big deal. And I understand that. But to me, it's kind of like, I've always worked for everything I have. So when she approached me, I felt kind of weird about it, to be totally truthful with her. And I told her that. So a big thanks to you, Sarah. Like I said, much love to you. Thank you for your support, as always. Just, like I said, I'm just surrounded by great people, right? So, I can't ask for anything else. That's all there is to it. Sarah, you also said, I know Minister Helia. He has known my family for some time. I am certain he would be happy to speak to you on or off the record. I would be happy to put him in touch. Yeah, by all means, if you can do that, that'd be awesome. I'd love to have him on. You know what I mean? Um, you can't have but nothing but great respect for people like that. I mean, these guys are not just yo-yos, walking the street. Yeah, UFO in this guy. No, these guys are the real deal. And these are the people you want to talk to. Um, I can't imagine why somebody like that, of that stature, would just say, yeah, I'm just going to make this up for no reason. I'm up there in age. Why not just spot out a bunch of garbage, right? Let me see who else just jumped in there. Just a couple other people. This thing just shot way up on me again. Hate it when that happens. That's a great question, Rachel. You said, why are the scientists so focused on light energy, matter, or dark matter, but we never hear about anything, the empty space matter, the stuff that makes up the universe, empty space? That's a great question. I mean, why not? But is that what they're referring to by, like they said, the trying to find the end of the universe? Um, I don't think, like I said, it's so vast. I don't think we'd ever be able to see the end. Of course, I'm like I said, the only thing I can think of uh, is that they're trying to find where the planets have stopped. In other words, or at the very end of it. Like in other words, if you can succeed that and pass them and say, "Hey, look at all that void space," and yet all the planets are behind me. I don't think they could ever do that. But interesting that they just talk about some things and they're vague about others, and it's like I wish they would do a lot more. Well, actually, it's kind of weird comment to say because it's like they know it all. I mean, they're already all over this stuff. I think things we're getting privy to now is like, well, wait a minute. I think I've seen something on the moon. I think I've seen something on Mars or whatever. Come on, they knew that crap back before the Viking landed because they had flybys. They had other failed attempts, and you could bet some of these landers that when they were landing, they were taking photos as well, snapshots, and then maybe it didn't land and crashed. It doesn't matter. They're still getting information back before it actually, hits the ground, right? So yeah. Wow, you said Mr. Gossman. Wow, man, this Sarah must be amazing. She is very smart, doing her thing, and nothing but great respect for her. Richard Gwinnett, you said I'm a new watcher. I love this show. Well, I appreciate you being here, Richard. No, where did it just go here? Marco Shelton, he said, keep this up. There is not, I'm sorry, many of you fighters out there. Respect. Well, I'm starting to see, this is gaining ground where we're starting to see more and more people that are analyzing a lot of this stuff and they're really looking into this. And, and you guys, many of you guys are all doing this. And like I said, it's awesome. There are a lot of people getting into this. They're really scrutinizing these photos. I don't care which ones you're looking at, whether it be the moon, Mars, whatever it may be. A lot of you guys are saying, "Man, I've gotten Photoshop now. I'm looking at these photos deeper than just, just kind of just perusing over them. Oh, what no big deal. You're literally looking at these things and scrutinizing them, like I said. And I've always said this long ago, using your magnifiers, your little eyepieces and stuff like that. It's good to have because sometimes you can't see these little things. I don't care how good your eyesight is, guys. A magnifier and or an eyepiece makes a big difference. And many of you guys have agreed, right? Mr. Gamer, you put on there, hey, Chris, have you got hold of any new Chinese far side of the moon pictures? Can't find crap myself. Well, that's the thing. Once they get there, it's kind of like India. I don't know if you guys remember that when they sent up their Mars orbiter, their mom, I'm sorry. It was actually Mars mom orbiter. They sent it up there and said, man, we're going to have unprecedented HD photos and everything else. And everybody's like, yeah, who? Yeah. And of course, their own people, of course, they're proud of their country and they should be. Um, uh, so, they should be very proud. They've done an achievement. They come out with what? 8, 10 photos? Let's call it 12 for argument's sake. That was it. They stopped. And when I went on the site, I'm going on there and I'm thinking, and they literally go, okay, where's the rest of the photos? Why aren't we seeing more? What's going on? It doesn't make sense, does it? But they stopped. Same thing China does. All right, Sarah, good to see you in there. You said, lovely evening to all. I am off. A brilliant group you have here, Christopher. A real good group. See you. Saw you, actually. But, well, again, thank you, Sarah, and much love to you. And again, thanks for supporting the channel in many ways. And we'll talk soon anyway. But if you can hook me up with Mr. Hellia there, yeah, please do so. That'd be good. Well, it's interesting you said that, Rachel, because you said what I'm curious about is the space. Space is black and empty. Let's not focus on the matter for 1 second, but space is black in color and empty. It looks like to me it's like a program and it's on some kind of framework. Well, some people have they've actually said, well, is it possible that the we are living in the matrix, right? And they've actually said that, and some scientists are actually dabbling in that. Are we in some kind of matrix kind of thing? And is it? I don't know. I don't know about all that. Is it just because there's no light out there? In other words, if you're going past the sun, you're well out past space, and there's no sunlight or no star to show, like light in that dark area. Yeah, so is it just because it's just simply dark? There's no light. But it's interesting. I mean, if I was starting to read a couple of papers on that a while back, and I never did get back into it. I need to actually do that because there's a lot of theories and stuff like that. So, all right, sorry, yeah, that'd be awesome. You said consider it done. You know how to get a hold of me anyway. So, but anyway, have a good evening there. I know you said you were heading out, so have yourself a good evening. And so I'd be curious to see and read more on that because it's kind of like you got space right here in front of you, but it's lit. This is the reason why it's not dark. But if you just shut off the lights, complete darkness, well, there's what looks like a void or dark, right? It's without light. Let's call it that. It's not really black. It's without light. So yeah. Noodle said, "Ooh, this is going to be a great year." Darn Skippy. Everybody smash them like buttons. Hammer time. Stefan Longfeld, this thing just jumped up on me the same time I was reading your name. I would think with all of the people analyzing the photos from NASA and the community making speculation, what is this? What is up there? Why do they never respond? Or what is they never respond or debunk what is being said around the internet? I think because if you think about it, and I've said this before, Stefan, that I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to get a consensus about what people are seeing or their reaction to what they're seeing. Because, what's his name? Mr. Brendenstein, the top banana, so to speak, in NASA right now. He's saying, well, I think we're going to find life on Mars. Now, keep in mind, since, the Viking lander in 75 and 76, they were saying, at that point, they were saying they found life. Now, there were scientists arguing back and forth. No, it's not complete information, so we don't think it is. And some of them say, no, we actually had enough information way back in the day that there was life on Mars. Let me see. And so, let me see if, just jumped on me here. Here we go. All right. So I think it's like they just want to go back and forth. and kind of just like it's like I said, it's like a consensus. They're trying to figure out how people are going to react because he was saying that, like I said, since that point, he's been saying, like I said, this argument with the scientists. Now, all the way up to this point, they haven't found life. I think they did, and now he's saying, well, we're this close. We're probably going to announce life basically in 2020, and he's saying that we don't know if the people are ready for this. Come on. Come on. And we're so past that it's not even funny. I think you guys will agree. It's like a laughing stock kind of thing going on because everybody knows here that life, come on. Really? It'd be interesting to actually see this one day that they, of course it won't be like next year, but it'd be interesting to say, they'll come up with some BS story saying, it's weird. We were digging in this area, looking at this area, and then all of a sudden we went around this bend, around this huge ridge line we didn't normally go around. And all of a sudden we get up and over this thing and we see what looks like ancient structures. That would be interesting. They don't have to admit anything else. They could just say it looks like, cave dwellings and will look like somebody was there at one time. That would be interesting. But then you're talking about a whole darn, you open up a huge can of worms, right? Because now it's going to be like all kinds of speculation. And of course, they'd have to answer to a lot of this stuff, right? Custom tailored one, you said, could it be that empty space contains something other than black matter? For example, we breathe air, but we can't see it. Absolutely. And like I said, they would be more privy to it than we are, and they would know because I'm sure, like I said, they had to, research basically space, right? Before they can send something out there to either orbit, in, in an orbit of Earth and then make their way over to the moon. So they had to do a lot of experiments and research in order to get to build what they had to get out there to begin with. So they must have done all kinds of crazy stuff, researching and everything else before they even done that. And I think they're aware of everything we haven't even touched on yet. Let's put it that way. They're probably thinking, oh, they don't know, so don't matter. Bush Corey's in the house. What's going on? He said, hiya, Chris and the gang from rainy, cold London. Don't feel so bad. We've had rain here for the past couple of days, and it's going to rain again tomorrow, and it's presently about 41 degrees and absolute crap weather out there. Nice and breezy. It's actually, the wind's died off now because it is nighttime, but yeah, sucks. Noodle's good point. You said nobody wants to be told humans are a species late to the game. Aliens know this, and I like to see our theories, religions, etc., without them in it. Yeah. Andrew Haberman, you said I think life exists in some form, just about everywhere. Absolutely. All right, Sarah, I see what you're saying there. She's hit me up on social side there. Yeah, that'd be cool. I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, that'd be pretty sweet. Yeah, do your thing. There you go. Um, okay, 00. Good seeing you in there. He said, okay, it's bedtime. Good night, everyone. Well, good to see you in there. Glad you stopped in. Photography like magic. You said if these government idiots spent as much dosh on space as they do on wars, we would be whizzing about the universe, meeting new civilization, F-wits, a lot of. Well, and I agree with you. And many people have said that if we could have just come together as a human race and stopped and addressed a lot of the stuff we have today, homeless, poverty, you know, it's like people in their yards, only a lot bigger. Like, stay out of my yard, man. Kind of attitudes, and you stay in your area, I'll stay in mine. If we could just come together as a human race, then we could proceed. You know, but now it's just like, well, this is a race with this one again. Here we go with the space races again. This one wants to get out in space first. They want to build the biggest orbiting spacecraft or whatever, or we want to make sure we're the most powerful country. Come on. Like you said, we could be so much further out in space right now. It's insane. We could be so much further than we are. We could be a friggin' type 1 or a type 2 by now civilization. But no. All right, let me see. Oh, Bushcar, I feel for you. You said at work soaked it on railway, but I wouldn't miss your stream. I appreciate that. Try not to catch a cold. I'll tell you what, I worked in that crap for a while there, and I don't appreciate it, man. It just sucks. Rich Davis, he said they can't admit life on Mars. The church would go out of business. Well, funny enough, you know that the Vatican has its own observatory, which I find amusing. Um, and I think they call it Lucifer of all things, right? But I find it amazing how they actually have that. That's because they know, and they're even starting to admit it that they believe there's other civilizations out there and UFOs and the whole gang, the whole freaking thing going on. Yep, Remo Conan, you said the Fermi Paradox. Yep. Yeah, I just brought that up too, by the way, the Fermi paradox, basically saying where are the aliens, um, and I'll pass that to you guys as well because it is pretty interesting read. I'll drop the link right now. You guys can check it out. Basically, that's what they're doing. They're questioning, you know, just thinking all the way down. Let me see. Okay, so apparently that never went all the way to the bottom here. Okay. MC Gamer, appreciate your support, man. You said, have a beer on me, Chris. I wish it was more, man. It's not about more, man. It's just a thought, and I appreciate that. Do appreciate anybody's support, that's for sure. Both verbal or, monetary, don't matter. And like I said, a big thanks to Sarah again as well. All right. For some reason, this thing won't stay on there. Let me see. All right. DVD BSA still on a hoax. Yep. Yeah, I agree with you, David. You said, well, if the government, if our government rather, would just stop lying to us, maybe we could actually proceed with progressive advancements. Well, yeah, absolutely. And that's what I think is, I think it's absolutely important. I mean, again, if we could just, I don't know how long this would take to do this, but if you can actually get together as a human race and not, that race, or I don't like that race or whatever, stop doing that. We would have been eons ahead of what we are now. What was that other thing here? I can find this. I don't know if you guys heard about that too. Is on the site that the Sun, they call it, Space Rock says NASA reveals 240-foot Friday the 13th asteroid will skim past Earth at 18,000 miles per hour. Anybody heard about that? It was on here, and I heard about it, and I looked it up, and I was like, well, look at this crap. Huge asteroid to skim past Earth. And of course, it's just under the Statue of Liberty as far as the size. Um, and then they're talking about different. They said, here are the asteroids that pose the biggest threat to our planet. And it's got a list of them. And it says special risk list. And it's got asteroid names. And it's when they're saying they will, it's a date and time of impact. That's what's funny. Of course, the smaller ones, there's like 150 meters, which, I wouldn't want to be hit by that. One is like 480, the other one's 2,000 meters, decent sized rocks, right? One is like 2185, 2196, and 2880. At least that's the way they're predicting they'll hit Earth. Now, I don't know if all of that's true, but pretty cool anyway. Well, interesting. I don't know about cool because I don't know if we want to be hit by one of these things. Yeah, I didn't hear about it either. Custom tailored. I'm sorry. You said I didn't hear about the asteroid, but that's pretty close. Well, I mean, the way they're talking, it was supposed to be, like I said yesterday, but let me see if they were talking about. Well, I mean, it's quite far away. I mean, the way it's talking, it says the asteroid is expected to come now closer than 1,862,000 miles. So that's in space wise. I guess it's kind of close, but it's not a threat to us. But you can imagine. I've often thought about that, and we talked about this before. I said, what would happen if there was a big rock coming straight for Earth? Would they tell us? Would it be a rogue scientist? A bunch of scientists say, man, red alert, red alert. Or would they just keep it quiet? What do you guys think? John, you said, John White, you said asteroids don't really worry me. I think we have the capability to divert their trajectory. Yeah, I mean, unless of course you're talking about like the movie Armageddon, where these things are really, really large, and I don't know how they would take them out. Who knows? Like I said, with all the stuff they had back in the '80s, where they had the Star Wars program, you can almost bet they got lasers out there. They got all kinds of crazy stuff. There's no way of knowing that unless you read up on it and get somehow inside information, or you can research this. But so yeah, it would be interesting to see that, you know what I mean, or hear about it. Yeah, 420 alien. I don't think they would. If let's say one slipped by and they said, "Man, there's just no way we can get this thing out. Get it change its trajectory at that point." Would you think they would tell the truth? Because think about it. Everything, basically anything, so it'd be total social breakdown, pure pandemonium. It would just like anything that people ever wanted to do, they would just do. We're talking about the worst things you can possibly think of, right? He said they wouldn't tell us if we were really going to get hit by one. At least not one of any good size, right? Yeah, exactly, Jason. You said it's Apophis, April 2029, Friday the 13th. Um, is that when that one's supposed to actually, was it supposed to be in 2029? I know they talked about a bunch of these way back in the day, too. They were talking about all kinds of asteroids coming close. And if they're small, it's not even a big deal, right? They go, well, most of them will burn up. But if you get a good size one, like they had in Russia that time, where it did a little destruction, but it was small. And picture something like 10 times larger than that. You can wipe out a good city or two, that's for sure. Bush car, yeah. They keep it quiet, cause too much chaos, riot shit like that, and just call Bruce Willis. It's like, please, somebody go in, like literally, Blow this thing to shit. Martin Dupree's, love the shirt. Well, thank you. Appreciate that. Ryan Johnson, you say, hey, Chris, enjoyed the Mars Junkyard vid. Awesome stuff, man. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I love looking at the pans and stuff like that because you can look at one photo, see a few things, but when you look at the pan, you can really go over these things and really just go over them. And there's so much to see in these things. It's crazy. That's what I love about those. And as long as they're pretty decent, because like Neville, what he does is he tried to do it in a PDS form where it was much more quality. If you get just even the TIFF, I seen the TIFF on that, what looked like that rebar. The TIFF was sad. You couldn't make out any details of that piece of crap at all. When you looked at it, you're just like, I don't see that. But yet the TIFF, I'm sorry, the PDS was much sharper and much better. You can really zoom into it. It was just awesome. So he tries to use them when he can, right? So sometimes you don't always get them clear. Some people are like, hey man, why is this thing it's so blurry? Could it be better? Absolutely. But like I said, he tries to use the PDSs when he can. And does great work. He stitches them together really well, right? I said you jumped up on me here. God, I hate it when it does this shit. Oh, you got that right, Mimi. You said the higher ups would try to escape. Oh, guarantee it. Photography Light and Magic says, I think after crapping themselves, they would try to save their own arses. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the truth. Well, maybe that's the reason why, too. They're trying to, um, that's the reason why they're trying to actually go to Mars as well and make a civilization there. In the event that something that already happened to Mars wiped out life there, it could happen here. And maybe they have a good idea. Maybe they know the trajectories of these other asteroids and saying, well, there's a lot less chance of Mars being hit at this point compared to Earth. So why don't we go ahead and colonize Mars so we can be in both places? And of course, I think we've been that way at some point in time. There was probably two planets, and this is the reason why we see a lot of what we see on Mars, we see here on Earth, and vice versa. This is maybe the reason why. David Labe, you said scientists have said we're due for a big asteroid again. I'm not surprised. When you look at the asteroid belt and stuff like that, and there's like rocks slamming into each other. I mean, they just it's like pool balls, right? They just go off on the table. It's the same difference. I mean, just and you don't know the trajectory until it's actually coming at you. But as far as the ones that actually orbit in and out of the solar system and everything, they know this. Now they're probably saying, well, it's looking pretty good for Mars, but not so good for Earth. Why don't we go ahead and make this happen? So I don't know if that's true, Rachel. I hope not. You said, guys, I just want to say this. I might have melanoma. I have a mole my doctor is concerned about. I'm going in for a biopsy as soon as, well, I hope nothing but the best for you. I really do. Um, Chances are it'll probably be nothing, but, good luck with that. I hope everything works out well, right? Uh, Harley D, we're going to call you. He said, Chris, I wish I could get a Mars Anomalies and Beyond t-shirt for Christmas if they exist, if any exist. No, I actually had people ask me that, though. I started setting up a site where you can actually buy some stuff, and I just really never went through with it. I had so much more going on that haven't done it. But you're not the first one to ask. Maybe in the future. Oh, he said my doctor looked at two moles I had and said one is benign and the other might be cancer. Well, but it can be removed pretty easy, right? So like I said, I hope everything works out. Yeah, we're all with you on that one, Rachel. Don't feel like you're alone on that. Um, but I've known people have had the same thing. In fact, they were actually cancerous, but they removed them and they were fine after that. So if it turns out to be that, which I hope it doesn't, then you should be all right. James Cregan, you said, Chris, man, your patience and respect for everyone's opinions is top of the range. I mean, but I am looking at the amount of pure evidence you have been showing us for years, and I think I come on, and I think, come on, people. Oh well, it's and like I said, I know a lot of people have actually come to my channel. They've already done their own research. That's what's crazy. They've done their own and said, "Man, I've been looking into this for years, and it's basically what I think is what you've been saying all along, and vice versa. What I've been doing for this for years, and it just does my heart good knowing other people are doing this or have been doing this for years, and it's what it's all about, man. It's a conscious effort just to get together and get it done. So people are aware of this stuff. And I'm always, guys, I'll be truthful with you. And I've said this before. It's a learning curve for everyone, including myself. I don't know it all. I would love to. This is the reason why any research I can get. Sometimes you guys will say, "Hey, man, you need to look at this stuff and check this out." And I'm more than happy to do that if it opens my if it broadens my knowledge about what's going on. Absolutely, there's no doubt in my mind. Custom Taylor One, you said, Chris, the last video was the bomb. The structures on the top of the hill were amazing. It was amazing. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of those weird things, man. You can just see them like a couple of you guys pointed out where it looked like this round domish thing with this like thing sticking out of the top. Just crazy stuff. There's all kinds of stuff in there you didn't think you would actually see. Um, and when you do see something, you can't help but scratch. How many times you guys has anyone on here looked at something long before? It could be before my videos. It doesn't matter. Or you just happen to look at something and you just like your mind stumbles. You're trying to, that can't be there. There's no way that could be. And guys, I can't tell you how many people I have. I don't know if they're just being willfully ignorant. I'm not talking about my regular subs. I'm talking about people that come there. They're going, that's Earth right off the bat because I don't know if it's because they're just like dumbfounded. Like they're looking at some of these things going, there's no way that could be Mars. That's got to be Earth. Now, those are the ones I can appreciate because they're going, there's no way. I mean, it's something that you would see here on Earth. Clearly, it's got to be on Earth, or it is on Earth, or of Earth. It's a photo of Earth. And then some of them are going, "Hey, man, that's just Earth." You know, the thing is, it's like this stuff looks so realistic, something that we would see here on Earth. That's what they think. Um, but if they are telling the absolute truth, then it just the mind boggles. You just really can't understand it. You're just like, how do you get your mind wrapped around something like that for the first time? First time I saw something like that on a photo, I was just like, what? Really? I didn't know what to make of it. I was just like, no way, that can't. Let me check this photo out again. And there you go. Everyone's with you there, Rachel. You just keep us in the know, man, and we would appreciate it. And like I said, I think you'd be fine. I like to think positive, optimist, not a pessimist. James, he said, and they have their top Jesuit boys up there watching the skies for a long time now, people. Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, anybody who's ever had like these observatories that can see quite far out in space, darn good and well, they've been looking at this stuff and must see some crazy, crazy stuff going through there. And we're not talking about orbiting, spacecraft we have around Earth. We're talking about stuff that's just absolutely insane stuff flying around. And like I said, I'm sure they've known about it for years upon years. And this is the reason why they started back in the day, you didn't have that great a technology. When I'm talking about like 30s and 40s, right? But then they got, more and more advanced. Okay, we want to get out there. We want to get out there, but we just don't, it's like saying I want to go 190 miles an hour in a car that only does 125 max. Man, I'd really love to get to that speed. I wanted to see what it feels like. Well, then either go out and buy one or build one. So what do? We want to get out there. We want to explore because we see these things with our telescopes on Mars with the I was going to say drive-bys, right? Drive-bys filming. Flybys going by Mars, they're going, oh my God, look at the stuff that we got to get there. Well, we don't have the technology. We will. So they did everything they could to build it. There you go. So now they went. Now they want to send man. It's as simple as that. Daryl, you said many times I have looked at photos before I found your channel and things did not look right. No, and it's just like I showed you guys in that pan. What was going on with that on top of the mountain there with all of that blue haze over that stuff? I mean, I'll still have people going, "That's not manipulated." Really? I mean, I'm looking at the thing. You can see this stuff is like literally over these objects on the top of that hill next to the skyline. That doesn't make any sense. And yet, I'll still have people tell me that. It's like, okay, well, believe what you like. Phil Cox and daughters, Jessica and Kelsey Brown. Next close approach is on December 16th at 1325. It's size between 40 and 120 meters long. That's pretty big. It's labeled 2019 XX. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Bush Corey said, other night I was looking up in the sky night and I see a little light dot going slow and smooth across the sky. Are these satellites I'm seeing? That's a very good possibility, Bush Corey, because I'm going to go back over this. Appreciate that, Mark. Appreciate the support. You said you I like that flying thing. That's pretty cool. What is that supposed to be anyway? I appreciate the support anyway. It's pretty cool. Let me go hit down this. There we go. Chances are, Corey, yeah, it is. It's probably satellites because they don't move very fast. I mean, you can see them slow moving, and because it's such a distance, they are. I mean, obviously, if you were standing right next to it like a highway, the thing would just blast right by you, probably about 17,000 miles an hour. But from that distance you're looking, you can see these things are just moving slowly across the sky. But I'm sure there's much more things out there that are just like flying in all different directions. Those are the things you got to pay attention to because a lot of these are on the equatorial region, right? Now you have some that fly north and south pole, but you have majority of them flying this way, going around the pole. Around the equatorial region. And but if you start seeing them going up and down, like a ton of them, or going different directions, like horizontally, or just kind of flying in just kind of a weird patterns or whatever, those are the things you want to pay attention to. Again, thanks, Mark Matheny. Jim, you said, Jim Donahue, you said JFK warned us of a monolithic secrecy society with unlimited resources and asked the media to shine a light on the corruption. The same as are privatizing our outer space, spraying us with metals. Exactly. Well, here's the thing, too. They're thinking in all aspects. They're saying, okay, and I've said this before, when you got these chemtrails and stuff like that, people have said that, there's people coming out with these things on their arms that like they can literally pull these fibers out of their arms, and they believe that's due to the actual chemtrails. And the idea is it's like I'm trying to remember what article that was. They were saying like they want to cut down the population by like 80%, which is ridiculous. But they want to. Now picture this a minute. If you were to just imagine nobody died of any diseases, right? It was strictly just old age. That's it. Your just organs in your body broke down and everything. Can you imagine the population we'd have here on Earth now? That's why we're not going to put out the cure for AIDS. We're not going to put out the cure for anything that's killing people. Now, don't get me wrong. There's things like car accidents and stuff like that. That makes sense. That's something that's unavoidable. But as far as disease-wise, nope. AIDS, we're going to keep there. Cancer, we're going to keep there. We're not going to put out a cure for that because there's multi-billions upon billions of dollars made a year on that stuff. We're not going to do that. And this way it curves the population. Don't get me wrong, there's children being born every day, but there's a lot more people dying. Now, again, picture people not dying at all of any disease, but just strictly old age. How many people would be on this planet then? Lots. And we're going to suck up the resources on this planet. And like I said, there was a the person that stated before, when a civilization gets so large, it just has no choice but to implode in on itself. And basically, that's it. Civilization goes to hell. And that's the end of the planet. Um, so, yeah. Pat Sequin, you said, is the Earth's pole shift going to mess up satellites? It will until they readjust them. They'll basically just put them back into orbit where they need to be. And it won't just change instantly, right? It'll be like, take time to change. So the satellites will just follow along. Um, and like I said, they'll just readjust them to just put them back into orbit where they belong. Because you're going to have a lot of satellites effect, right? Like GPS. You got military satellites out there. You got even your regular satellite TV. Those things would have to be put in back into orbit properly in the correct position. And most of those are right there in the equatorial region as well. This is the reason why, if you live in the United States, if you're like in Florida, Texas, you got a super, signal. Like if you're listening to like XM satellite. But the more you go up north, the more the signal, it's easily blocked out. Because as you get closer, because there's two of them, picture the whole United States, and of course other countries are like this too. You have like two satellites right over, and it's just flying geosynchronous orbit, and just kind of just following the Earth. So, and of course it just sends a signal. There's two satellites to do this, and there's an uplink and a downlink and all that other good stuff. And if the Earth should move, then they'll have to actually just reposition them. Geoff Crummy. Hi, Chris. Hi, Noodles. What's going on, man? Good to see you in there. I have, Remo. You said, hey, Chris, have you seen that video where it looks like there's a huge cloaked object sucking energy from the sun? Yeah, that's been out for quite a while. Um, it does, in fact, like this big orb kind of thing, almost like another planet, right? And you see like this kind of weird tail. It's like sucking the plasma right off the sun. Then you see it kind of like disconnect and then take off. I've seen that. That was years ago that was out, and now whether that's a CGI thing or somebody actually caught that, which I believe that they did, to be truthful with you, that's pretty wild. That's neat. Okay, there we go. Anyway, you said your entire body is memory that is also encoded as DNA, so there is merit to your speculation. Well, yeah, I mean, like I said, looking into a lot of this stuff, it's just like, man, you just start sucking all this information in, man. And I don't know about you guys, but I've always been intrigued with anything that's got to do with space, right? Like I said, even when I was younger, it's like, you thought, like I used to listen to shortwave even back in the day. Hell, I was like 12, 13 years old. And I had like this long wire I made. I actually put this wire up in my house, and it was up in the ceiling in my bedroom, and I could just listen and tune in. And then I put one outside where my mom, it's funny because where my mom had an old clothesline. It was like, because we lived on the second floor, I ran that thing from one pole out to the other, and I was getting all kinds of crap. I was thinking, I want to listen to aliens. Of course, that's probably not going to happen, but who knows, right? Yeah, but still, I was always intrigued with it. I'm sure you guys were a lot like that growing up, and this is the reason why you're so, wanting to get into it. Cloudy with a chance of UFOs. Hey, Chris, made it. Hope you all are good. I am good, and hope you're doing well as well. Yeah. Matt McCarthy, do you think the Black Knight is genuine UFO? I do. NASA's been hiding that. In fact, my buddy Billy Carson's working on that, and we're all going to be part of that. Me, as well as a couple other people, are going to be in on this show. We're going to try to put it together. It won't be until I think right around next summer. Want to get together with several of the UFO. We're going to use them, researchers or UFO researchers, as well as myself. I've done videos on the Black Knight. NASA claims from the STS that it was one of the thermal blankets. And they are right. One of the thermal blankets did, in fact, come off. But what's funny about it, when you see the blanket, it shows the astronaut near the STS, the spacecraft, right? And it looks like, if you can measure the thing, it's probably like from his neck down to his knees, or maybe even down to his feet. We're talking about 4 or 5 foot, thermal blanket. That's good size. I mean, and it come undone. Now, there's 2 of them. One of them was still on the craft, and the other one had fallen off. It kind of just got away from him. Well, that's all well and good. But then when you look at other pictures of this supposed blanket from a distance, you can see that it's quite large, and it's way away from the actual STS at that point. So you go, okay, but that's way out there. In other words, you got the blanket right here. Let's say it's right there next to you. Now, if you were to take that blanket, let's say it's 6 feet, in length. Okay, who cares? Okay, now I want you to put that 300 feet away. That blanket's going to look a whole lot smaller, and it does not. So I think they're trying to use that as an actual cover up for what it's really there. And they say, no, it's it's the blanket. But when you look at this thing, no way. Just look up my video. You can go on and search just go on my main page and just hit the little search button and put it on Black Knight Satellite. I actually break that thing down pretty good. It's pretty interesting. James Cragen, appreciate your support, man. I really do. I didn't see that thing till it popped up on this side. I can see it out of my peripheral vision because I'm reading all the comments here, but I like to see it instantly there. So I'm behind in this, but that's right on time. So that's why I can see it better. So I appreciate you. Kenneth is taking off. Have to make it out to Home Depot before they close. Have a great night, everyone. I'll be doing the same thing. I'll be leaving pretty soon myself, only because I got a lot of things I got to get done too before good old Christmas time. Not to mention, I got to unwrap my Christmas present that Sarah got me. But like I said, I got to still get this thing unloaded. And it's going to take a bit of time because, you got to load all kinds of software in the new computer, recording software, simple stuff like Photoshop, and just customize it to where you like it, and then get it all, running smooth and everything else. And then, like I said, this thing alone, I'm not lying to you. When I first got this computer, it's 70 pounds, the tower alone. It's got actually a handle in the front and a handle in the back. And this thing is huge. And like I said, the box was like twice the size of it. So I'm like holding this thing, taking it out of the truck, and the thing almost threw my back out. But, 70 pounds isn't heavy, but when you start getting, because I lift that kind of crap all day long, but when you get your arms way out here, it's big and bulky, you tend to lean a certain way you shouldn't be, and that's where it becomes a problem, right? So, yeah. You're right about that, X15. You said the Black Knight does not seem to morph in shape. Well, that's the thing. They're saying it's a blanket and it's doing this. It should be flopping around. What's there to stop it? It's kind of just in space, just orbiting space, basically. And they said it will fall to Earth. I don't know if it ever did, but they did say that it would happen. But you should see it this way, you should see it that way. You should see it this way, you should see it that way. That thing does not change. So, yeah, it's definitely there, and they're trying to use that. If you look at the pictures that they show, there's several photos that actually look like it is a blanket. There's no doubt. And then the other things, no way. There's no way. Peters Marcus, all right, saying bye from South Africa. Best regards. I appreciate you being here, Peters. Thanks for joining us, as always. Richard Gordette, you said, Chris, do you think aliens are living in the moon? There's been people who have actually seen UFOs literally coming out of the craters, stuff like that. Now, some people claim that they can see structures on the moon. They can't. It's just bogus. If you're looking at the LRO photos, the Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter camera, which is approximately, give or take, 75 miles off the surface of the moon, that's the photos you're going to believe more than anything, because 75 miles, even if it was 100 miles off the surface, just like the Apollo missions, they were anywhere between 20 and 150 feet when they were taking a lot of these photos. Which one do you think is going to see structures before the other? Somebody here on the Earth with a telescope, even if it's a decent-sized telescope, they're never going to see that in a million years. Some people claim they can. They can't. But when you And because I've actually talked to amateur astronomers, and they've had decent sized telescope. They said, no way. You'd be lucky to see 2,500 feet from tops when you can zoom in. That's a maximum you can get without with it being still clear. But when you see these photos, there's no atmospheric distortion because obviously the moon don't have that. And if it is, it's so light, it's not even to make it. It's not enough to make any difference. And it's so much better and clearer than you'll ever see on any Earth-based telescope, unless of course you're in an observatory, which makes a lot of sense. You'll see stuff, and even then, I don't think you'll see it because again, distortions. Of course, they do have these observatories, some of them way up on these mountains and elevations where it's literally above any kind of smog or anything like that. And of course, you still have the atmosphere, but it's a lot clearer photos, and they can see a lot better. Most people don't have that luxury to live up on a mountain with where they can get great photos. They don't have any light pollution. They don't have regular pollution. They just boom. You know what I mean? They just don't have that. And they're on observatories that are like huge telescopes. And even then, they're probably not going to see it. But there's a bunch of people who have seen what looks like UFOs coming straight out of a crater or going into one. Pretty interesting. Yeah, I will, James. Appreciate it. He said, Chris, I am trying to do that for weeks, man, but I have now got it sorted. Get yourself a pint of Guinness. I hear you. Matt McCarthy said, awesome. I will check out the video. What about the Nazi Bell? I mean, that was in the 40s, right? Yeah, I think it was in the 40s, and the Nazis were like building some crazy stuff back in the day, man. Yeah, they got what they call the Bell. Really interesting. They I don't know if it was like anti-gravity or this thing could they literally said it just disappeared at some point. So they were messing around some technology back then, and I don't think they gave a crap, to be truthful with you. They're just like, what happens if this happens? Who cares? Let's just see if it works. And you can imagine some of the people probably died in that process. But yeah, I forgot what the heck they called it. Pretty interesting. But yeah, there's a video about that. It's cool. I've watched it several times. I say it jumped again on me. TR3B said, just watched that video of the thing sucking energy out of the sun. It's very eerie how it's caught during a live feed and how huge that that bloody thing is. Yeah, it's almost like a freaking planet, for crying out loud. And like I said, you could just see it kind of spiraling, like looks like it's a vortex of plasma. And then you see this thing just kind of just break away from it. Really weird. Now, is it some kind of really good CGI? Doesn't appear to be. So that's freaky. James, Chris, man, I can see structures with your videos big time. So the hell with the telephone. I mean, telephone, telescope, man. Tell them to get on your website. End of story. Well, I mean, the thing is, it's like, I just want to go by photos that is much closer to the moon. I would believe that more, right? Even though a lot of these photos from the Apollos are completely washed or, manipulated, obfuscated in some way, shape, or form, which really sucks because you really want to pull a lot of this stuff out. And sometimes it's just, there's no way. It's like total fail trying to get this stuff to come out. And then sometimes I've had a lot of luck with it bringing this stuff out. That's the stuff I try to convey to you guys and show you guys because that stuff is actually in the photo. There's no reason any photo should be whited out, because you go, well, maybe it's just the exposure, and that's a good possibility. Either way, we're able to bring it out, by bringing out the darker details. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's shadows, maybe from a mountain shadow or some kind of structure or whatever it is. That stuff, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You're getting 75 feet from the surface of the moon. There isn't a telescope on this planet that's going to be able to do that. End of discussion. So that's why I go for those. People say, why don't you get your own telescope? It would have to. I would rather go to an observatory, to be truthful with you. In fact, I know somebody said, "Hey, listen, I got a buddy that mine that he actually has his own. He works in an observatory. He actually gets telescope time." And this, I said, "Yeah, hook me up. I want to see some of that." Um, because like I said, it's quite large. I forget how big he said this thing is, but it's big. So compared to something conventional you can buy, right? Bush Corey said, in your opinion, what's the main reason NASA won't tell the truth about Mars? Is it religion or not to scare or to not scare people? I'm sorry. It's blatant. There was once intelligent life there. We all know it. Well, the only thing I can think of is the technology that may be there, right? Well, one thing they're probably trying to figure out is how did this planet, what was the catastrophic event that happened on Mars? Was it something they inflicted on themselves? Because like you said, when we talked about before, where back in 1941, there was an observer looking at Mars at the time, seeing two large flashes of light in the atmosphere, and now they're finding all kinds of, well, not all kinds of, but they've seen two large plumes of radiation next to the face of Cydonia, the Cydonia region, as well as another one. And like I said before, funny enough, a lot of the landers and rovers are just south of it, right next, closer to the equatorial region. So, funny enough, you got these explosions. We're seeing these parts blown to hell. So clearly, there's got to be a connection. So, what is the deal? I think they're sifting through the technology that's there, and they probably already know what killed the planet off. Might have even been us that done it. Who knows? They probably said, well, they don't look like they got much technology to protect themselves. Let's go ahead and take over the planet. I'm hoping that's just totally speculation and it's not real at all. And I wouldn't have a problem with that if it was. But or they kill themselves off. So now they're just there, just picking through the stuff. That's exactly why they're there. They're looking at every little intricate thing. It's the reason why this thing, it's got the arm, the Molly cam. It can literally look at it and get right up close to it and take pictures, see all kinds of stuff. And they're just simply just avoiding it. They're avoiding telling the people because people are like, oh my God, they're afraid they're going to be shocked. You know, like I said, the Brookings report, basically says, how would the average person react to life on another planet? That's basically what the Brookings report, made by NASA in what, 1959? What? Who are you to judge what people are going to think? Maybe, but then again, back in the day, they probably would have freaked out. But now you're seeing so much of this stuff, you're desensitized to it. Now it probably wouldn't even bother you, right? You'd probably be like, "Yeah, whatever." It's like, yeah, I want to see it. Pretty much what it comes down to. Exactly. ZZKJ BRY. He said weapons signature isotopes. All yeah, like you got was it Xenon 29? Was it also found in the atmosphere? Absolutely. That's an interesting comment. Supercar RC, you said RC. You said, how did you become what your area has in work? Did your qualifications help you get a job with NASA, or is it like a job? I don't know what CV you handed into NASA. I don't work for NASA. Um, Kind of wish I did, to be truthful with you, though. Of course, I don't think I would keep my job very long. It's like, oh my God, you see that in the photo? Oh, I got to tell the folks over there on YouTube, you're fired. I may not work for NASA, but I have learned a lot from them. And of course, a lot of peer reviewed science papers. Of course, got to get your information somewhere and make sure it's right. Matt McCarthy said, "I seen a video a while ago, and there's a theory that man landed on Mars decades ago, and in a conflict with inhabitants to this day was very interesting video." Huh? I don't think I've seen that. Jim Donahue, he said Apollo 11 or 12 mission. Buzz Aldrin talks about alien structures, UFOs, and craft on the edge of the crater. Yeah, they were actually saying they were all on the crater, and they were just watching them, right? Um, Multiple ham shortwave radio operators caught conversation after 2 minutes of silence. Yep, absolutely. Because you got to remember that's on like the HF band. That was on like the 2 meter band. So ham operators could pick that up with ease. People go, how the hell can they do that? They're on the moon and they're over there. Well, there's no obstructions. It's not like, when you live in the city, if you try to use a walkie-talkie, how far can you get with it? Well, now take that same walkie-talkie and go to the salt plains of Utah. You'll get, 3 times, 4 times the actual distance from that walkie-talkie. It's just common sense. Yeah, it's 129. You're right, Richard. Xenon 129. But makes a big difference. And you can easily get that. So you can easily receive it if you got a good antenna in the house. You can also listen to the ISS if you want to too. Flower Girl plays. You should work for Elon Musk and help him design that Cybertruck. I think it needs to be redesigned, to be truthful with you, and other stuff. He would consider you as a guy with a lot of ideas. Um, yeah, I mean, nothing but great respect for Elon. I mean, just an innovator, just boom. And I love his ideas. Like I said, he's, with the Tesla project, SpaceX. And like I said, I've nothing but respect when the guy says, listen, I built the Tesla car. We build all our electric motors, all our components. We do all of this. And by the way, when we build the car, we're going to give the patent to everybody. We're going to give it to all of the automakers out there so you can do the same. He wants it to advance us, to get us, whether you approve of the electric car or not, doesn't matter. It's the thing is to improve us, get away from the dino fuels and start to think, out of the box and do these things. He's trying to push the space program because he is now part of the space program, subcontracted from NASA. And of course, he's got his own space program, but he's literally takes all kinds of basically delivery guy, right? To the ISS, all kinds of supplies. Yeah. Wouldn't mind working for him. Like to shake his hand, that's for sure. I wish, like you said, you work for Elon. Wouldn't mind. Custom tailored one. Chris, are you a licensed ham radio operator? No, I am not. I have studied for it, passed it with no problem on the site. Just haven't done it. I've been into radio for years, though. I mean, of course, I was a little illegal. Regular CB band. I mean, I remember me and my friends, we used to get on there and we'd be on the shootouts on Channel 6 or, well, that is a Channel 6. Basically shooting, skipping, and having all kinds of fun. But where I found it was interesting is when I used to, my first chat was with a guy in Fairbanks, Alaska from Rhode Island, and talking to him. And that's when I got the bug. And I was running like 1,000 watts out of my house. And, of course I do it late at night. I'd be talking to all the states around me. And then when Skip rolled in and talking to the UK, talking all around the world. If you guys, how many of you guys know where East London is? South America, very southern tip. When I talked to them, I was totally dumbfounded. They were on the D-Expedition, what they call a D-Expedition, and what the guy he had was a Land Rover with a 3-element Yagi beam on this thing, and like I said, they were on this expedition, so they call it a DX. And it was interesting. It was just cool. So I got poisoned by it. I had all kinds of radio gear. I mean, I've still got my Yaesu here. I've still got the scanner and my shortwave radio. So I go on the business band and I chat on there. With some family members and friends. We go on there in the business band and we'll talk instead of the CB, which can be very noisy and stuff like that. MG Toad, I'm an extra class ham. Awesome. CQDX. I used to go by Romeo India 392, which is basically Rhode Island 392. Photography Light Magic, he said the massive amounts of money NASA has had over the years and not so much as a Effing microbe. I'd pull a plug on their funding, but that's just me. No, you're absolutely right. Many people have said that. I said, "The hell with these people. Are you kidding me?" I would literally cut them off. This is what I would tell them. I'd get together as Congress because they get their money from them, right? They get the okay. It's like I'd get together and they come over. You know, you already talked to all the Congress people, right? And they said, We'd like to get X amount." Nope, denied. What do you mean denied? Denied. You know, if you can't come up with the damn truth and tell the people and tell us what's going on, you're not getting another red cent. They'd be like, "What?" Yeah. Alien Tenno, what's going on? Good to see you in there. Up the irons, Chris. Boom. Oh, you having a problem there, James? You said, Chris, there's a delay of a few minutes in the Wi-Fi system here tonight for some reason. So in case you are turning off for the night, I would like to say the videos and Hangouts were fantastic again. Fantastic people. You're going to have fantastic Hangouts. That's all there is to it, right? Flower Grows, you'd be surprised. Most people are like, oh, I mean, I wonder if he works with like some kind of space program. Nope. Stock person. Basically ordering for a giant, food store, uh, grocery store. And basically, that's all I do is just order physical work. That's all I do all day. Um, you know, now I this is funny because we have a friend that her son actually works for a space program that actually is affiliated with NASA. And like I said, I've said this before, where he said, I asked him one day, I said, "Hey, let me ask you a question. What is the work they're doing on what engines right now?" I said, "Is it plasma or is it, you know, I forget what else I asked him. There was a couple questions I asked him. He said, um, crap, what was he saying at the time? But he said, no, this is what you need to look into. That's it. And he didn't say anything more. I was like, what the hell? So, yeah, I mean, that's basically what I do. Not relate magic. That's good. That's good to find a microbe in a pile of crap. Oh, man, that is good. But believe it or not, I think that's all going to change this year coming up. It's almost like they're going. If you think about it, the way they actually, like I said, they're announcing it. They're already giving people a heads up. Oh, we don't think people are going to be able to handle it, but we think we're almost positive we're going to find life on Mars. I think they will. I'd like to see it not just micro, but macro. I'd like to see a lot more going on. Chris, if you work for NASA, we would be sorted big time. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just can't imagine if they said, well, how would you like to work for us? And by the way, you're gonna. I actually had a dream about this one time. This is pretty funny. Um, I was I was saying to myself, "Oh man, imagine getting a job there." And they were like, "We noticed that on your channel, you seem to see through our manipulations. Would you like a job? Like, we're going to put you at the very end of the CGI or like in the middle of it. So, in other words, the department, as the photos are getting handed down, we want you to proofread this thing. And if you can find stuff, okay, hand it off to the next guy. Hey, banana head. Get rid of the rest of that. You know what I mean? It's almost like I had this dream thinking of that where they actually did that. Um, they had me hired for that just to proofread these photos. But I think they're doing it purposely. Again, just breadcrumbs. Why not? They're just thinking, like I said, people who are inquisitive want to see this stuff. They're going to find it. Flower Girl plays. You said I just subscribed. I didn't know why I didn't earlier. Well, I'm glad you did. Better late than ever, right? Oh, let's see. Odds and Grass is back at home now. Hey, everyone. Rich, you said, is there life on Mars? Maybe. Was it life? Is there life? I'm sorry. Is life on Mars? Maybe. Was life on Mars? Definitely. That's exactly what I think. Let me see. MC Gamer, there was a troll in the chat. Photography Light Maggie said, if you spend billions of dollars to send a rover millions of miles across the solar system and it landed and saw some of the shit we are now finding, would you not at least investigate the anomaly? WTF? Yeah, well, that's the thing. And many people have asked me that. They're going, Chris, I don't understand. Why don't they go over to the damn thing and look at it? You can bet they did. Come on. Um, they probably went up to it, and literally the turret on that basically is the tool, right? Is at the end of the arm, or tools at the end of the turret arm. You know that they can flip that thing around. They can literally take an object, just push it aside and whatever. And of course, it's got the cam, the Molly cam, and they can literally look at this thing in unprecedented detail you would not even imagine. Just look at some of the Molly cam photos of what they call a little what is it, blueberries? They look like small little rocks, round rocks. Look at the precision or the detail in those photos. You know darn well if they're looking over something, they're getting it with great detail. Don't let them kid you. Absolutely, just awesome stuff. So, and you made a great point, because you're not going to send a rover way to hell over there just to look at simple rocks. And it's not just looking at rocks; they're literally looking over at the area way out, like at the hills and stuff. Wait a minute, I thought you were supposed to be looking at the ground and rocks. Why are we looking way up there? Because they're seeing much more in these photos, or there's much more in these photos rather than we'd ever know. But we're finding bits and pieces, and that's what matters. Rachel, you said there is definitely life on Mars. It's geologically active and has a magnetic field and an atmosphere thicker than what we are told because the sky is blue, for God's sakes. Absolutely. And I totally agree with you. I've said this many times. Again, they've messed up themselves and showed a blue sky. And when you take apart some of these photos and you just do an autocorrect on color and you Photoshop blue, I mean, it's just, there you go. And there's so many, like I said, there's cirrus clouds on Mars. There's warm temperatures. The average temperature could be 70, 80 degrees on there during the summer months. And of course, they are in the equatorial region. We're not talking about, because people go, oh, you don't understand, man. It's like 185 degrees below zero, and it doesn't even get close to zero. Not in the equatorial region in the summertime. If you're talking about near the poles area, absolutely, it's cold in hell. What is it here on Earth? Go to the coldest parts or regions on Earth, especially on the poles. How cold is it? How cold does it get? You know? Richard Mortimer, you put on there the last gigapan, free flowing water that has carved the rock. I mean, it has been doing that for a while. Absolutely. And you can see forget about the anomalies. They call it, well, there's a little bit of water on Mars. Yeah, water, a little my butt. I mean, when you see that stuff trailing down and it's wearing paths in the ground and through rock and everything else, you know darn well it's been doing it quite a while. And it's the most recent. Even if it was a month ago, the photo was taken. Of course, they claim it's like a couple of days ago. But, like I said, I was told it was like a month behind. So in other words, they get a photo in, you can bet when you're seeing it today, let's say it came out today, that was a month ago. They had enough time to do what they got to do, manipulate, take all the information out of the photo, and basically mess with the photo and then hand it off to the public. So, yeah. Anita M., you said, I've seen a spacecraft, mind blown. Definitely not from here. Oh, you can almost bet on. 420 Alien, thanks for stopping by. Appreciate you. And you said you got to go. Hope everyone has a great week. See everyone next Saturday. All right, man. You do the same. I agree with you, custom tailored one. He said, I truly believe that society is ready for full disclosure. I think so too. I mean, like I said, at least come out with, I think they're going to do this. I think they're going to say microbial life and they're going to get bigger than that. Oh, we seen like what looks like moss on a rock or whatever. They're going to start to see more and more of this because once they start with that, microbes got to live on something. Something, and it's going to have like a little cycle of life, so to speak. And you're going to start to see more and more of this. But I think they're being really cautious about how they go about this stuff. What do you guys think? You guys are going back and forth with each other, so I'm trying to find any other questions or comments. Pat Sequin, what does 411 actually means information? Last time I know. Yo, man, give me the 411. Basically information. All right, Mark, good seeing you in there. Again, appreciate the support. Talk to you later, Chris. You said, and everyone have a good weekend. You do the same, man. And if it's raining and nasty where you're at, like it is over here, then, stay warm. Yeah, I think you're right in a certain way. Alien Tenno, you said the problem with religion, disclosure will basically mess with them. Well, like I said, I've talked to people who are like, to me, as far as I'm concerned, like fundamentalist religious people. I mean, I'm talking about like to the max, right? Um, and they said, we're not bothered by it. I said, you're not. You're not at least bothered. No, why would we be bothered by it? And like they say, well, if God, made us, then they made everything. They made the universe. So why couldn't they make life somewhere else? That's the way their views are. And so I don't, if they have questions, they'd want to question it like anybody else would. Any rational person would say, man, I love to, if they say that, I want to know, how long they've been there. What do they look like? So on and so forth. Did they have laws? Did they have, what I mean? It'd be a million questions you'd want to ask, but they weren't even a bit phased by it. Oh, Mark, Bethany, I'm sorry, man. That sucks. It's cold here. It's still 41 here, but phew, nasty out. Just a kind of cold, raw weather. You just go, oh, man. Wouldn't be a bad idea, Eagle One, to try that. You said, Chris, can you take a picture, put an orange filter over it, and then go into Photoshop and remove it? It's a good, interesting idea. Because I'd have to figure out, have to try to put the same filter on that they do and see if we can try to pull it back out. Something tells me it's not just a filter on the camera. You know what I mean? It's something that they try to put over kind of like what they were doing with the moon photos, right? Totally washing it out. It's kind of like a washout, only a lot better technique that they're doing to it. Something tells me it's not just the camera doing that. Something tells me it's much more than that. Photography Light Magic, you said, I am fascinated by the various cultures I believe lives or lived on Mars. Yeah, I mean, I'd be like curiosity is huge, right? Because you're like, okay, if we're seeing these things on Mars, what would they like? Like I said, there's a million questions come to your mind. Are they still there? Are they living underground? I mean, there's just a bunch of questions you got to ask. Did they take to the underground because everything on top of the planet has basically been wrecked, except for during the day? And if they live underneath um, the protection of the magnetic field of certain parts of Mars, then they can come out all day long, nice and warm out, no problem. And then boom, it gets cold out at night. They go underground. Is that a possibility? If their homes have been completely destroyed, then they had to find no other way but to burrow underground, right? So I heard James. He said, "Chris, that's a summer over here in Ireland, man. Yeah, I heard it's quite chilly over there." Hmm. Flower Girl plays. You said, why doesn't the whole world rather just shut down all car and space companies and hire Elon Musk to make it all electric so we can stop destroying the Amazon forest? It gives us 20% of our air, for God's sakes. Well, it's all about money. It's all about expanding. You know what I mean? We're just going to keep, you know, encroaching on these forests and stuff like that and basically killing off the animals' homes and everything else. It's, because it's progress. Stop. You know what I mean? Well, again, this is one of the reasons why they're trying to slow down or cut down the population, right? Because of that. Now, I think about the way I think it was Dick Cheney that actually said they wanted to do that. 80% of the population, um, unless there's a huge nuclear blow off and it just a big bomb lets off on one side of the planet, kills off half the planet. I don't foresee that happening. Yeah, that too, Rachel. You're right. Rachel said the ocean actually gives up most of our breathable air. I watched a documentary on it. Well, even so, I mean, look what we're doing to some of the oceans. We're killing that off. Just dumping all kinds of trash in there. No big deal. It's not in our backyard. Why do we care? That's the way they have. That's just they don't care. Doc Chuck, Little Chuck. What's up, Chris? Woohoo! Peace loving music warrior. Peace and love from Scotland. What's going on? Yeah, you guys have to check that video out. That's pretty cool. If anybody's seen the video, that one about the sun, I mean, I'm sorry, that craft sucking that stuff off there, the plasma um, off the sun, drop the link and I'll just do it real quick because I'm about ready to jump off this as well. Got to get some things done too before it's way too late. James, you said Chris just watched a video about oil exploration in South America, and when they did fracking in a coastal region, they found fossils in the ground hundreds of feet down, and they are thousands of years old. Well, that doesn't surprise me, because again, over a course of time, um, stuff gets buried, right? Whether it be the ocean taking over that area or whatever. I remember them saying that they were looking in. They were actually what the hell were they doing? It was, I don't know if it was coal mining or whatever it was, but they were digging, and of course they keep digging, digging, digging. Well, they got down to about 150 feet. I think it was 100, 150 feet, and they literally hit a brick wall. What the hell? And there was tools there and everything else. 150 feet below. How the hell did it get there? And it was never dug out. This is something that was there. The ground was put over it over thousands of years. So where did it come from? And why is it there? This is what I'm saying, guys. We don't even know all there is to know about our own civilization. And again, I think we're in the fifth cycle. A lot of ancient civilizations say that, where we are now in the fifth cycle. Each of these cycles, we were killed off, or almost killed off by some cataclysmic, event, whether it's fire, flood, whatever it may be. And now we're in the fifth cycle. And, we've totally have amnesia about the other four. So each time we're almost killed off, now we're here again. So, what's going to be the next cataclysm is going to happen this time, right? Another interesting thing I found too, James, there was a documentary about, they're saying that, we'll run out of dino fuels and everything else. And the guy what he did was, he was the one that went to each of these it was offshore drilling sites. And when he went there, what he would do is just maintain it. In other words, if it shut down because it basically ran out of oil, they dug it as much out as they could. That was the end of it. So what they do is they capped it off and shut the whole rig down, right? And so what he would do is they'd go to these things and make sure everything was tidied up, nothing was coming apart or falling off the rig or anything like that. Well, one of them he went over to, and he says, "By God, there's oil leak in here. How's it possible?" Come to find out, there was oil built back up again. So is the planet, is it actually dino oil, or is it something that the Earth produces by itself and it's an endless amount of it? But my question would be, if it is that, then can it produce it fast enough to where we're drawing out of the ground? And I say no, we're drawing way too much of it too fast. And, like I said, I was years ago when I was a child, I was probably 10, 12 years old. When I was talking to one of these farmers, and he asked me that because, you think you know everything in school, stuff like that. And he's like, he asked me, and I think I talked to you guys about this before. He said, let me ask you a question. He says, what do you think, causes earthquakes? And of course, I'm telling them tectonic plates, they're going up against it. And finally they give, you get that earthquake, you get this, that, and the other. And he says, well, that's one reason, but that's not all the reason. It's due to man. Kind of looked at him like, what? What are you talking about? He says, well, and he asked me, he says, that they take oil out of the ground, right? I said, well, yeah. He said, what are they putting back in it? I said, that I'm going, great point. Never thought of that. Now picture barrels upon barrels upon barrels coming out of the ground each day. Can you imagine the size of the cavern that's leaving? How do you know? So now how do you know that's not what's causing it? Clearly it has to be. Just fracking alone and all the stuff that they're doing. But picture this huge cavern. You could probably drop a country in, for crying out loud. But let's say I'm kind of over exaggerating, but you know what I'm saying. Picture the millions of gallons of oil being pumped out of this one area of the planet. What is being put back? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Now, I think years later, now they're just trying to put water back in it or whatever. But some of these places are now refilling back with oil. So is it from dinosaurs thousands of years ago? I don't think it is. I think it's actually the Earth actually produces it, but at a very slow rate compared to what we're drawing out of the ground. Your thoughts on that? Yeah, I'll have to check that too. I don't think I've seen that. You guys are talking about the missing 411. I'll have to check that out myself. Flower Girls Plays. He said, my dad ordered the Cybertruck for two reasons: the environment, and he needed something to carry his stuff for building because he builds a lot. Nothing wrong with that. I own an electric car myself and a hybrid. So, it's kind of liberating. Just go right by the gas pumps. I plug it in like a cell phone at night. Well, not every night because I don't need to. But, and of course, the hybrid gets super gas mileage. So, my average on a week is like 47 miles to the gallon, which is not super, but that's winter time. And, of course, you get on the highway and, I can get, I've gotten 62.8 miles per gallon. And of course, it depends on how you drive it and how you go into battery mode. You just got to have a science to it. You just got to just use what the car's actually been built to do. And that's how you get the maximum fuel mileage or mileage out of the car. Still fuel mileage regardless, right? Exactly, Rachel. Yeah, I was saying the same thing. Basically, it says has everyone thought that maybe fossil fuels might actually be residual left, oh residue, either way, left from our mantle seeping through the crust. It doesn't make sense to me that it's biomatter left from decaying animals and, of course, and plant life because it's all below the clay. For God's sakes. Well, that's what I'm saying. It's just like you know I think the Earth is actually producing it itself, and this is maybe the reason why they want to keep it alive, meaning keep using fossil fuels. I don't believe it's by dino crap at all. I don't. That just doesn't make sense to me. You're not telling me there was that many freaking dinosaurs in the world back then, and let's suppose there wasn't. I mean, there was. Yeah, okay. At some point, you have to run out of that, and they have, but then it comes back. So I think that theory goes out the window. Yep, Flowers getting out of here, guys, and I am going to shut down as well. Again, another awesome hangout. You guys are the best, man. I don't know another hangout that's just as good as this. There's a lot of good people out there, and you guys are just. I'm just happy to have you guys as subs and stuff like that, and always exchanging ideas. That's what I love about a Saturday night now, man. I get together with all you guys, and we just kind of throw this back and forth. It's great. Nothing but great support. Like I said, whether verbally, monetary, doesn't matter. You guys are just awesome and I can't ask for a better group of people. Some people, other people claim that they do. They got the best, but I don't think so. I think by far, we got the best chat section here. And like I said, I can't say it enough. Anyway, guys, I do appreciate everybody stopping by. You guys are awesome, like I said. And everybody have themselves a great day and or great evening and a better day tomorrow, if it's not your day yet. So Natural Spirit, yeah, well, yeah, you did miss it, but better late than never. So hello to you. And but like I said, the support is amazing. You guys are great. Anyway, everybody have themselves a great weekend and look for the next Mars video coming out. That's coming out, and I'm going to try to get that moon one out if I can. You might find a couple of days I won't have anything on because I'm going to try to swap out these computers. I do have my other one there too, so I got a little bit of work on that one, so I'll try to knock that out as well. So everybody have yourselves a great night, good weekend, and we'll see you soon. Right? Peace, everyone.